Jimmy Carter's life and presidency show the true meaning of dedicated public servant opinion. As we mourn the death of President Jimmy Carter, one of only 45 people to serve as our chief executive, we can celebrate an extraordinary life. More than 100 years spanning 17 presidencies from Calvin Coolidge to Joe Biden, President Carter's sense of justice and faith called him to a life of service, before, during and after his 4 years in the White House. James Earl Carter Jr. was born in 1924, a short, shy child, nicknamed Pee-wee, who was formed by his childhood in the tiny rural communities of Plains and Archery. Although Georgia was deeply segregated, his mother, Lillian, was a nurse who provided free care for local black sharecroppers and brought her son along to visit black churches. A black farmhand named Rachel Clark taught him much of his faith, much more than my parents, Carter later wrote. She talked to me about the religious and moral values that shaped a person's life. President Carter's father was a businessman, farmer, blacksmith, and cobbler, and later a state representative, but his support of racial segregation was a source of estrangement with his son. Jimmy Carter was the only student from his high school to go to college, and during World War II, he enrolled at the Naval Academy. He is the only president who attended Annapolis. In the early 1950s, Carter interviewed for the Navy's new nuclear submarine service, where its legendary founder, Admiral Hyman Rickover, grilled him on everything from Shakespeare and opera to Carter's time at the Naval Academy. "Did you always do your best?" he asked. When Carter, who had graduated in the top 10% of his class, admitted he hadn't always, Rickover stared at him, then snapped, "Why not?" Carter got in, but the Admiral's question followed him the rest of his life, fueling a superhuman work ethic. He later called Rickover the greatest influence on his life after his parents.